Good evening, magandang gabi, mayong gabi, mayang gabi, and all other languages combined, which I don't know how to speak. We're here, fresh new episode of Sabado Nights with Fafa Zee. And for all viewers, you will notice later that I will be interspersing, malalim yun, no? My language between English, Tagalog, which is Filipino, and Ilonggo. Why? Because my friends in America have been continuously requesting me that I should not conduct this show in straight Tagalog because they're having a hard time catching up. So mga kaibigan, mamaya may Tagalog, may English, at may Hiligay Non. Hiligay Non is the language of Ilonggo people. These are normally people who came from Region 6 from Western Visayas, Panay Island, Negros Island, and eventually migrated to Mindanao. So we have a big grouping of Ilonggos in parts like General Santos City, in Cotabato, and so on and so forth. I'm not also familiar with the places in Mindanao. The reason why one of the languages will be that of the Ilonggo people is that our guest for tonight is Pinoy in the USA. Teka lang. Facebook user, good evening, Fafa Zee. Facebook user, pwedeng when you activate StreamYard in your Facebook account para lumabas yung name mo. Salamat po. Okay. Hello. So, hello muna. Bakit ang ipapakita ko ulit yung poster? This is how the teaser poster looked like. Okay, it's called Pinoy in the USA. Istorya sang Ilonggo sa Utah. So what is Pinoy in the USA? If in the past episodes we talked about sad stories of an OFW mom, we talked about traumatic stories of an abused wife, abused by her ex-husband. We talked about betrayals made by a woman to the man. So, hindi lang lalaki ang nagbe-betray at babae ang nabe-betray. It works both ways. We talked about failed relationships. Ito naman ngayon, we will hear the story of a Pinoy in the USA. The travails, palagay doon na travails eh. Travails, parang that's quite deep. The hardships, the hard experiences that he encountered. He actually doesn't know yet that I'll be asking all these things from him. But pretty soon he will. So, without much further ado, we'd like to welcome our guest for tonight, Mr. Greg Cajilig of a Pinoy in America. Hello, is it morning there, Mr. Greg?
Hello, good evening, and good morning from Utah. It's 6 a.m. here.
Utah. Okay. So, babalik ko muna yung poster natin for the benefit of those who have not read it, no? It's Istorya sang Ilonggo sa Utah. So it's pronounced Utah pala.
Utah.
No? But actually, even for me, it's not familiar eh. Kasi a lot of my relatives are in either California. Diba California is one of the densest concentration of Filipinos in America, no? Tama ba?
I think so.
No?
Yeah.
And of course, some of the nurses pamangkin I have are in Florida. Kasi because there are many elderly down there and nursing is as a work, as a profession is quite robust, no? And some people I know now are in Arizona and Texas. Syempre, I have relatives there. Pero Utah, parang I don't even know that it's pronounced as Utah. No, I thought Utah or I don't know. So now it's Utah. Okay, Utah. You're It's not a concentration of Kapampangans there, no? Because there's a letter H at sa dulo eh. Hindi naman.
Hindi naman.
Parang, hindi
Hindi
naman.
naman.
Okay. So, Greg, can I just call you Greg?
Sure.
No? Greg, anong apelyido mo talaga, Greg?
Cajilig.
Okay. So, can I type that out? I'll just put it here beside your Greg, ha? Cajilig. Oh, sorry. It's Cajilig.
Lig.
Okay, Greg Cajilig. Greg Cajilig, ladies and gentlemen, yan, may good morning sa atin, no, Greg. Si Ismail Abaya. Hello to Ismail Abaya, Maharaja. Good morning. Parang alam niya na morning. Mukhang bagong gising ka kasi, Greg. You understand Tagalog, Greg, no? You
Yes.
understand Tagalog?
Yes, I speak it fluently.
Good. That's good. That's great. Okay, so I won't have a hard time. But you also speak Hiligaynon?
Yes.
All
Ilonggo.
right. All right. That's good. Ganito, ang format ng talk natin ngayong gabi, I actually told you earlier or way back when I started inviting you when you haven't made up your mind yet whether to guess or not is I told you I will not be sending you prepared questions so you'll be a surprised guest, no? Hindi surprised guest, surprised guest. Okay? No? But don't worry. Just get nervous. Just get terrified, but not worry. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Number one, I will just
I
be
can
asking
play my
facts
Secret
muna.
Amendment
Okay.
if you add something that I don't
You
want.
used to live in the Philippines also, right?
Yes. Till I was 26.
Hello?
Until I was 26.
Sorry, medyo nag-choppy ka. So you used to live in the Philippines also?
Yes, until I was 26.
Until you were 23 years old. So prior
26.
to saan ka nagtapos ng pag-aaral mo ng university? Did you went to university?
Yes, I went to UP Diliman. I finished my Bachelor of Arts and Economics degree in
So
1986.
why? Taga Manila ka ba or taga saan ka ba?
Iloilo.
So taga Iloilo ka. So you are Ilonggo. So tama
Yes,
yung
sir.
yung binigay na info sa akin when I was making that poster. You are Ilonggo from Iloilo.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, I finished high school and then studied for a couple years in Iloilo, and then I transferred to UP Diliman and finished there.
Iloilo is a city, right?
Iloilo City.
And it's also a province.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Tapos, sa Iloilo ka nag-high school and then you finished university in Manila, in UP, in UP Diliman. Is that correct?
University of the Philippines, Diliman. Yes. Quezon City.
So, your parents sent you to Manila to finish, to enter university?
Correct.
So, your family is medyo rich family because they sent you to Manila for university. It's quite expensive for parents to let their children study in Manila.
At that time, after I graduated high school, my dad went and worked to Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
So during that time, he's making a decent living, to support us to study out, wherever we want, and
oh.
to study in Manila.
So you mean your dad was one of those pioneering overseas Filipino workers that we call them now?
Yes, yeah, he worked there for. He worked in King Khalid Air Base in Saudi Arabia for about 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's an engineer.
So when your father worked in Saudi Arabia, you were still quite young then.
Yes,
How old were you?
I'm in my late teens probably. Yeah. So
And
just out of high school.
how
Out of
many how many of you how many siblings kamo? How many
um,
ilan kayo? Ilan kayo magkapatid?
there's six of us in the family, and I'm the third from the oldest.
The third from okay.
To six. I
So
have two older sisters and three younger brothers.
okay. Ang school mo sa Iloilo, was it a public school or a private school? Oh, that's UP High, right?
No, I did not go to UP High. I went to San Jose
What was your
Parochial.
school?
It's San Jose Parochial School at that time.
As it's
That's
a
now
Catholic
known
school.
as,
It's a private Catholic
it's,
school.
now it's a Catholic school, yeah.
Your family was living in the city.
Yes,
So
city
we can
proper.
say that you were not really a poor family. You were an okay in terms of socioeconomic status then.
Um, not no. My mom was a government employee, and my dad did some all kinds of odd jobs and stuff. He's not really making a lot because I grew up as renting a house. We struggled. At that time, growing up at that time, you don't really know if you're like poor or not. But I know, like, now thinking back, I could say that yeah, we really grew up struggling, you know financially. Hello.
Sorry for that.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So you were saying that at the start when
We
you were
grew up
growing
poor,
up, you
basically.
okay. So you experienced being part of a poor family. Your family was poor early on. That's what you're
Yes.
saying,
Yeah. I could
right?
I
And
could
you have
categorically
memories of that.
classify that, yes, that we are poor.
You have memories of that still.
Yeah.
So because you were at the yung nasa tamang edad ka na at that time. So naalala mo.
Um yes, like, we don't have,
Pag,
we don't have the luxuries growing up of life, you know.
and that was when? That was during your grade school, elementary days?
Elementary days, basically elementary days up to high school. My dad doesn't have a permanent job, so he's not making enough, and
Or six siblings, no?
yeah, six
Six
siblings.
kids. And I remember that time because it is only this time that government salaries are okay in the Philippines eh. But that time when you work for government, wala eh. No? Tama?
Wala, wala. Like, I remember growing up, we don't have a house, so we actually live like about a block away from where the city dump their garbage, and the we it's by we don't have flooring in the house. It's dirt sand. So we have that.
Okay. So was that a big deal? Was that a big deal for you when you were growing up, when you were becoming an adult, and eventually when you already had your own family? Was the memory of just renting and not having your own house became a big issue for you personally?
Well, it it drives you to, it motivates you to to find a better opportunity for yourself. Basically, you don't want to live
Okay.
in that kind of, you don't want to, if you have a family, you don't want to go through with what I've gone through, growing up.
So the reason I'm asking that sort of malalim na question kasi I have my secret agents there in Utah, and maybe you can call them your stalkers now, and I give them a mission of stalking your neighborhood and getting a photo of your house. So tama ba? Is this your house?
Yes.
Okay. So it's quite spacious, it's quite big, it's not typical na parang sa Pilipinas kasi we don't have a house that big. So is that big in sa standards ninyo dyan?
um yes. Yeah. Yeah, you buy a house according to what you want, and what you need. So that's
Okay.
it's houses here are relatively cheaper, compared to other states and stuff too. So
Okay.
there's bigger land.
Sige, we will get into that. We are still but we will get into the geography, and maybe you educate us later on.
Okay.
Ano ba talaga yung Utah na yan? Kasi ako wala eh. Pero tama ba, sige, pupuntahan natin yung Utah where you are now. Anong Utah is what? Is a state?
Utah is a state, yes.
So meron ka pang city. You live in a city in the state of Utah?
Yeah, I live in a suburb of Salt Lake. Yeah.
A suburb. Ay, Salt Lake yung sikat, no?
Yes.
Salt Lake
Yeah,
City is in Utah.
correct. Yeah. So
Ang
if you
Salt Lake,
remember Winter Olympics in 2002, it was in Salt Lake City.
yes.
We moved
Ang
to the
Salt Lake
Winter Olympics.
ba? Ang Salt Lake City, is there really a lake there?
We call it the
Or a
Great
salt lake?
Salt Lake. Yes, because
Why is it called Salt Lake?
it's the water is really salty, like salt.
Oh. Lake siya na salty.
Yes,
Ra-
very
That,
salty. One of the
that's something new for me. Or for a lot of people siguro.
yes. So
Yes,
meron
go.
talagang merong lake na Salt Lake, kaya tinawag siya Salt Lake City kasi may lake talaga na.
And then, pero ano diyan, 'di ba? 'Di ba you have very cold climate there pag you have winters, you have very
Yes,
cold winters there.
that's actually one of the reasons like we moved to Utah because we lived in California for about 16, 17 years before we moved to Utah. And
Tagal din ah. Oh.
we want to experience four seasons. Being in America, we want to, kasi California,
Oh.
where we live, walang snow. So we want to live in a city where we can
Walang
experience
snow.
changes in the weather. Yeah. Well, in California where we live in Los Angeles, so walang snow. You have to drive up to
Sige,
the mountains.
nag-jump tayo sa Amerika, pero babalik tayo sa Iloilo.
Okay.
Okay? So, can you say na when your father started working abroad or sa Middle East, tama, sa King Khalid
It's
airport ba 'yon? Oh,
yeah, in Camis Muscat.
okay. Was that the start of, can we say, a better economic status for your family?
Yes, basically because I came here when I was still single, so my purpose was to, be able to help support my family back in the Philippines. I mean, that's the
Okay.
motivation, to be able to uplift the living conditions of, my family in the Philippines. But at that time,
Yes,
remember when I went to the U.S. Actually, when I went to the U.S., um, I think about less than a year I think kasi nagkaroon ng gera doon sa yung first Gulf War eh. And
Okay.
naapektuhan yung work ng papa ko.
Oh, naabutan niyo yun.
Pinauwi
Okay.
sila. And at that time, nung pinauwi sila, nag-decide siya na hindi na siya babalik.
Okay.
So, yun yung parang naging motivation ano ko na rin kasi hindi na siya babalik. Then, wala nang stream of income na papasok sa family, di ba? To support
Yes.
and all that.
Correct. At that time ba, were you still studying or
Oh, I
you
already
were working?
graduated. Yeah.
And what was your job that time?
I was working as a loan officer in the bank.
In a bank.
In a
So
bank.
you were in the bank. What was it paying well?
At that time, you could say yes, but
To what year was that, by the way? What year was that, by the way?
well, I when I finished college, I was in Manila, so I applied for a job there in Manila, and my first job was in a bank as a bank teller. So I worked at that bank for about 3 years, and then I moved back to Iloilo. I transferred. It's the same bank, but I just get reassigned in Iloilo, and I've worked there for a couple years, and then that's when I moved to the States in 1990.
Okay. So when you say na you were working in a bank at that time and the pay was quite comfortable, what prompted you to try your luck in America?
Um, See, in our family, my mom's sister already migrated to the U.S. back in 1969. No, so she's been in the U.S. since then, and at that time, my two sisters were already in the States. They also moved
Okay.
to the U.S. So, they're um, my goal actually at that time too is really to be with them, to go to the US too.
Pero walang petition kasi yung iba may petition eh. Ayun yung dahilan ba't sila
Yeah,
pumupunta kasi. Pero ikaw wala kang ganon.
walang petition, so
So, tourist, ganon?
yeah, tourist.
Ibig sabihin, tourist, pero you were intending to make a living there? Pero tourist ka eh.
um yes, at that time kasi 'di ba naririnig natin yung term na TNT, so I was willing to transition, from my for that, to risk na pumunta ng US and that, just to work, and hopefully, you'll find somebody that can uh kasi yung transition kasi noon from a tourist is you find somebody to sponsor you, for
Or
work
to marry you, something like that?
or to marry, yeah, or marriage, yeah,
Or
or
you get married with an American, tama?
with either like somebody that has papers, diba? So you find an employer that will sponsor you according to your
Yes.
skills. And Filipinos are known, as very loyal employees, diba? So, then you prove your skill to them, and that, if they like you, then they can sponsor you at that time.
Yes.
So, di ko lang masyadong alam ngayon, yung pasikot-sikot na ngayon because of.
Pero that was your idea of going to America is to eventually also get
Well, yeah,
sponsored
yeah.
and eventually become a resident, a permanent resident, something like that.
Yes, kasi nung umalis ako, buo na yung ano ko eh. Buo na yung it's like I made up my mind when I left that, that's the that no matter what, by hook or by crook or through thick and thin, I will make it out, right? I wanna,
So, desidido ka
yeah,
talagang,
I
yeah,
already made
okay.
that decision. Like, okay, I know that that's gonna be the position that I'm gonna be, right? So, um, abilidad, di ba? So
So,
you
willing kang,
know
teka,
that.
kasi baka yung, yung younger generation, at saka dahil iba na yung condition sa Amerika, hindi na nila alam to. So, ano yung meaning ng TNT ulit, nung time na yon? And that was in the what? Anong year yon?
In the early 90s, kasi dumating ako
Early
1991.
90s. Ano, in the 90s, anong ibig sabihin ng TNT?
Tago ng tago.
Ah, TNT. Teka, i-flash ko lang. Tago ng tago. Okay, that's a Tagalog word, right?
Yes.
No? Yan. Ano to kasama to sa edukasyon at saka sa history no? So in a context definition, what does tago ng tago mean? Pero wait, before that pala, ito muna, this is the pre-qualifying question. Nung pumunta ka sa Amerika, posible rin, alam mo rin to your mind na posible rin maging TNT ka?
No, I already know that I'm gonna be in that situation.
So
Kasi wala
ganun
na
ka kadesidido.
Yeah, decidido na. Wala nang balikan eh. I
Wala
don't
nang
want to go
balikan,
in
wala
back.
nang atrasan.
Correct, yeah. Wala
Wala
na,
nang atrasan.
Kaya nga
Nag-resign
sabi
ka na sa
ko,
bank job mo? Sa bank employment mo, nag-resign ka?
I did.
Ah,
I did.
okay.
So, it's
Akala ko
like, yeah, not turning back.
talaga?
Not turning
So,
back. Because
whatever
I have my
happens,
sisters here that, I have my aunt, that I know that, I have a place to live, right?
oh,
I have food, right? So basic necessities lang talaga, you know.
so 'di
Bahay,
ba 'di ba kung iliteral natin in English, ang tago ng tago means hide and hide or keep on hiding, something like that, right? That's the context
low
meaning,
profile, kumbaga.
no? Is you just keep on hiding, something like that. But tago means hide,
Yeah,
right?
low profile.
What do you mean low profile?
Hindi ka pwedeng hindi ka pwede, you cannot break any laws, or kahit traffic or what, di ba? Kasi you don't want trouble with the law. Kasi trouble with the law means, titingnan nila yung background mo, di ba? So, kaya low profile ka lang.
Okay. Ibig sabihin, common yon at the time in the early 90s. Common yung tago ng tago na Filipinos, among Filipinos anyway.
Correct, yeah.
Ibig sabihin, you can survive
Well,
in
not just
America,
Filipinos, there are other nationalities.
other nationalities
Yeah.
o other.
Yeah, it's just
Pero
not.
pero pero sa experience mo kasi syempre siguro ang ginagalawan mo ano lang yung Filipino communities lang din 'di ba? Kasi may kamag-anak ka.
Yeah.
So convenient. It
Yeah.
feasible siya kasi may you can stay with relatives, right?
Yes.
Sa simula. Parang the same lang naman din sa Manila For us Ilonggos, by the way, I'm also Ilonggo but from Bacolod, not from Iloilo province. Parehas lang din kung taga-probinsya ka, from Iloilo, from Mindanao, from Cebu, and pag pupunta ka sa Manila and you don't have relatives, it's really hard, right?
Yes.
And na-experience mo rin yun because
Expensive.
expensive, di ba? Kasi one of the single biggest major expense mo is bayad sa house, sa rental, sa whether it's a boarding house or you're just a bed spacer. I'm talking about the Manila context, right?
Yeah, and here's my thing. When I first started working in the bank sa Manila right after college, uh, my salary from the bank was only not even
Enough.
2,000 pesos.
Wow.
And my payment for my boarding house at that time is 500. So how can you survive, the rest of the time, right? with your food and namamasahe ka pa, di ba? So
So
it's
you
a
were poor. You were an office worker, but you were poor by standards. Tama?
by all means, correct. Yeah,
You were single and poor, and that's doubly sad.
exactly. It's hard to survive, right? Even just for a single. So actually, I was lucky at that time because my sister and like my dad was also in Saudi Arabia. So I have a little bit of supplement, right?
Okay.
To be able to make
So,
it. Pero as
so
much as
they
possible at that time, I'm like you're trying to make ends meet, diba? But it's
so
tough.
they your sister in America and your dad in Saudi Arabia, they pitied you. Parang sinasabi nila.
Kaya pumunta
Kawawa
ka na
naman
ng
to.
Amerika.
Kawawa naman to kapatid ko.
Yeah.
Graduate nga ng UP pero yung sweldo niya kulang pa ipang video arcade niya, parang gano'n.
Hindi uso
Sorry.
yun noon. Hindi uso
Sorry,
yun.
natatawa ako. Kulang pa na magbisyo siya na sigarilyo at beer. Wala man lang siyang
At,
excess money for beer. No?
and back then, like, pag sweldo, like, you feel like, you're a millionaire, right? So,
One day
one day
millionaire.
millionaire.
Ubus agad.
Ubos.
And then you at what part of your living expenses ang tinitipid mo after the first week of your sweldo?
Well, because my bank is in the mall at that time, di ba? If you are familiar, yung SM North EDSA, bagong tayo pa lang yan noon. So, yung branch ko sa bangko, dyan, ako yung traveling teller. Yung trabaho ko is
Ah!
I go from stores to stores every day to pick up their deposit. Pinipick up
You
ko yun.
collect the money, right? Tama.
Collect ako ng deposito.
You're
I
accompanied
keep it
by
home.
by armed guards. Tama?
By armed guards,
Kasi
correct.
delikado yung work mo eh. You might
Ako
get
yung nagbibilang ng pera ng SM noon.
So you had a very nice job counting other people's money and so miserable at the same time because the millions of pesos you were counting every day were not your own money. No?
It's not mine, correct. So, like may, like when, pag bagong sweldo, di syempre, nasa mall ka, kain ka ng sizzling plate, di ba?
Treat mo yun. Ano yun? Big time ka nun. Big time.
Yun yung big time na ano mo, di ba? Pag wala natin,
On payday, you're a
correct.
big time on payday. On that one day, in a half month.
I treat myself to a sizzling plate, di ba? Kasi noon, uso yung sizzling plate, eh. Dadali sa yung pagkain, talagang umuusok.
It's a luxury, oo.
Correct. Pag wala na, then utang-utang muna kay Manang na naghahatid sa bangko.
Oh, okay.
There's
Experience mo pala yung works na yan. Kasi that's a Manila phenomenon during that time eh. Pero sa big cities naman in the provinces, ganun na rin.
Yeah,
There's usually a middle-aged lady with a big bayong, no? Tapos in that bayong, there are cellophane packs of rice and viand and yun. Tapos suki, no? Suki siya. And the reason na suki kayo niya kasi credit because nakakautang kayo. Kasi wala kang choice eh. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Siya lang naman ang nagpapautang, ang pumapayag na utangin yung food na pinupuhunanan niya everyday, no? Buti pa si Manang, entrepreneur, samantalang kayo, mga nakapustura ng mga sosyal, taga-bangko, nangungutang kay Manang, no?
Correct.
So she was actually better off when you think about it now, no? At an early time entrepreneur na siya eh.
Tsaka noon uso yung papunta ka ng Hong Kong, may mga pumupunta ng Hong Kong, bibili ng mga damit-damit doon. Tapos sa bangko, papautangin sa iyo, yung mga damit, 'di ba? Hulug-hulugan, ganyan. So I don't know if you still do that.
Nadagdagan na naman ang utang mo.
Utang na naman, yes, syempre, kasi gusto mo na magandang damit, di ba? Kasi pag Friday, casual day, di ba? So
may social pressure pa na dapat mag-aral lagi ang damit mo. Kasi
Correct.
lahat
Kasi
kayo,
status symbol, nag-work ka sa bangko, di ba? So people, people think that, you get paid really well,
you
working
had
in.
an you had an image and a reputation to keep up. Ah, grabe yung life nyo,
Correct,
no?
yeah. Yeah, so yun yung ano doon. And you enjoy kasi syempre bata pa kayo, ganyan, mga ano nyo. So happenings din pag weekends, ganyan. Kaya, talagang
O,
ubos yung sweldo mo.
ito question ko. At that time ba, did you have a girlfriend that time?
Wala.
Oh,
Kasi
because you cannot afford to have one. Tama ba? You could not
that's the
afford
plan.
to have a...
Well, we always go out as a group. Yeah.
At
So
saka
hang out.
yung sa
Hang
at
out
saka
again,
yung
hang
sa
out. Hang out
saka
din.
sa kinukwento mo, parang 'di ba? Parang siyempre tradition pa rin sa traditional sa atin is still the man who pays. At especially during those times, 'di ba? How
Correct.
can you afford on your that measly salary? You cannot even afford yourself for yourself, 'di ba? No,
Yeah.
much more kukuha ka pa ng gagastusan mo. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Nakakahiya na, wag na lang, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Kung di mo man lang matreat ng maayos yung
Wala kang,
girlfriend mo.
yeah. Ano muna? Gipit. Kaya,
So, yung pala yun, akala ko naman talagang mga ano lang, mga taga-postpone lang ng relationship yung mga kasamaan sa bangko. Yung pala talagang lahat kayo cannot afford, no?
well, I have friends in the bank na may mga, may mga friends na sila, mga girlfriends, boyfriend, ganyan. So, normal lang din, it's a choice.
Oh, pero siguro
And,
yung girlfriend nila may sweldo rin, kaya ambag-ambag.
yeah, kaya nagtatrabaho din. Yeah. So,
Anyway, sige, fast forward, nagdesisyon ka na parang sa tingin mo ba at the time wala nang future dun sa yung parang career na pinili mo? Kasi number one, balikan kita ha. Ang ganda nung course na graduate mo sa UP. Number two, hindi, number one pala yung UP. Number one, UP graduate kay. Number two, maganda yung course mo economics. Kasi parang yan yung isa sa mga social na courses sa UP, di ba?
yeah.
So, yung dalawang ano na yon, yung dalawang sikat na conditions na yon, did not even land you a good paying job, kung tutuusin. Tama?
Well, everybody has to start, like entry level, di ba? Kahit sa ano man, unless
So, yun yung entry level mo.
wala kang, yeah, entry level, wala ka pang experience, di ba?
Pero
So,
if it was for several years later, naisip mo ba na parang hindi ganon kaganda opportunities dito sa napili kong situation ngayon. So baka mas maganda, nag-conclude ka na maganda talaga opportunity sa Amerika.
well, at that time kasi bago lang din yung mga sisters ko sa US. So, parang I'm trying to um ano kung ano yung ano nila, anong kahihinatnan ng ano nila, yung life nila dito sa US.
Mino-monitor mo rin.
I'm trying to monitor it. And
So
in the
parang
back of my mind,
sila
um,
yung feasibility study mo.
yes, yeah, like, yeah, kung if they can make it there, then, I can make it there too, right? So, and they also encourage me to leave, right? Kasi at that time, di ba nagtrabaho ako after college sa sa Manila. But, of course, the income is not sufficient. So that's why I decided to move back to Iloilo.
Okay.
At that time, we already have a house. Nakapundar na yung, my dad bought a house. So doon na kami nakatira. So, and then sabi ko kung if I can transfer a job in the same bank at that time and naka-transfer naman, then I'll be in a better position. Kasi yung sisters ko nasa US na and may the sister, yung my number 2 sister na may ano na siya, may 2 kids na siya. So gusto ko na umuwi kasi gusto ko rin mapalapit sa mga nephews ko na maliliit pa at that time. Kaya naglipat ako ng Iloilo. But
Okay.
then
Naiwan yung kids ng sister mo were left back in Iloilo,
yeah,
gano'n?
Kasi yung sister ko pumunta siya, ano din, same situation din, TNT din. 'di ba?
Mahirap din, no? Then she had to leave her kids behind din, no?
Oh
Mahirap din
yeah,
pala, no?
yeah, it's very sad for her kasi you know, kasi maliliit pa yung mga bata eh.
Oo.
Less than 2 years old, ganyan. Hindi, nanay siya. So, it's for,
Okay.
it's her story to tell. Yung experience niya na ganun. But, I feel for her. Kasi, syempre, nanay siya, maliliit yung mga bata.
Mhm. Okay, ganito. So, nag-decide ka na, supportive naman yung sisters mo. Alam mo naman na when you get there, hindi naman ganun kahirap because you have relatives there. You can stay with your auntie, you can stay with your sister, you can stay. There's a Filipino community there that na parang behind you, behind your back, di ba? Anong experience mo sa TNT? Was it true ba yung rumor that Filipinos mismo nilalaglag nila ang sinusumbong nila, nire-report nila sa immigration yung mga kapwa Pilipino nila? Totoo ba yon?
Um,
Or legend lang
may,
yan?
may mga balita na ganyan, so that's why you're very selective of who your friends are.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to be careful. Kaya nga low profile ka eh. Because everybody here, noon, when you get here, they always ask, why you're here. Especially for those people that already has papers. Very, inquisitive sila ba? Tatanong nila talaga, bakit ka nandito? Bakit? Bakit hindi pwede?
Parang ano, parang mata pobre sila, ganon. Parang
Yeah, they look down on you.
look down on you, oo. Ano ba
Yeah, they
tawag
look
doon?
down
Yung
on you. Kasi, syempre,
condescending. They
very
look down on you.
correct, yeah.
Parang parang second class or no class ka kasi wala kang papers, ganon.
Correct, yeah. So talagang
Grabe, no? And these are also Filipinos, ha, that na ganon ang attitude.
yeah, not all of them, Kaya nga kaya nga you don't
Hindi.
close, parang yun kasi yun parang you put that topic under the rug. You don't discuss anything about that, Pag nag-discuss sila, pag nagtanong sila, I don't want to be friend with this, with this person anymore.
Okay. So
Delikado.
yung Filipino na nagtatanong ng status mo, rude 'yon. Walang kwentang kaibiganin 'yon.
Correct. Yeah.
Oo. At
Yeah.
delikadong kaibiganin 'yon
Kung alam
kasi
naman nila or then namumuhay ka naman ng mo 'di ba? You're not stepping on their toes.
hindi mo na wala ka namang iniistorbo di ba?
Yeah, but you have to be very selective with your friends, ganon. And I have really good friends, up to now that they know my story.
How long were you diyan ka na nag-asawa sa Amerika?
Yes.
So ang tinirhan mo, you lived in California? Saan? Saan sa California?
Well, before I got here, when I got here, I stayed with my aunt and uncle, and my two sisters. We're all living in the same house. But after 1 week, we moved out of my aunt's house.
Saan lugar yan? Saan lugar?
Carson, California.
Carson. Oo, kasi ang dami kong kamag-anak sa Carson. Parang teka, ano lang kita, excited lang ako masyado. Ang sabi nung relatives ko, parang Carson daw is the city of Filipinos, tama?
Yes.
Parang,
it's heavily populated.
Okay, para ka daw nasa Pilipinas kung nasa Carson ka.
Yeah, kasi kung nagda-drive ka, tingin kang ganyan, puro itim yung buhok.
Okay, go. So nasa Carson ka when you started, when you got there, okay?
Yeah. So yeah, after 1 week na nandun kami sa auntie ko, my sisters move out because they've already planning na pag dumating ako, magbubukod na kami. So we move out.
Ang auntie mo was an American citizen na, ang auntie mo.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So tsaka kasi wala silang she married late kaya wala silang anak. So parang yung sister ko talaga parang consider talaga nila na parang anak nila yon. Kami parang adopted lang.
Hindi na hurt yung yung auntie mo na magmo-move out na kayo?
Oh, may din, may konting drama din. Siyempre may iyakan ganyan, 'di ba? Kasi And I mean, ano din, in a way, parang ano din rin, kasi syempre, we have to start on our own, di ba? We have to not be dependent. So my two sisters and I, we moved out and rented a very small apartment, yung tinatawag na studio
Oh
apartment.
yes, yes.
So it's like
Was
one
that
room
was
under
that still in Carson?
that's still in Carson. And every time I stop by, every time we drive by that street, kasi yung auntie ko nandun pa rin, di ba? So when we visit, I always drive by in that street and I always point out to my kids, that's where we started.
Okay. And you lived with your sisters, ano din ba sila? Bali tatlo lang kayo, hindi rin sila, they were not in a relationship that time.
Well, my oldest sister, single siya at that time, may nanliligaw. Tapos yung sister ko na may dalawang anak nga sa Philippines. So she's married. Yung husband niya tsaka yung two sons nasa Philippines pa at that time. And then me, single. So we rented that studio apartment, tatlo kami.
And that was for how long?
Siguro mga a year and a half we're that in that apartment.
And what happened then?
Okay, so dyan kami, di ba? So, ikwento ko lang kasi this one is, I always tell this story to my kids too. Kasi studio apartment nga, di ba? Tapos may dalawang beds dyan for my two sisters. Ako gusto ko may sarili akong kwarto. So, yung closet na yan, merong small closet on the way to the bathroom. And that's where we hang all the clothes in that closet, di ba? Under the clothes, kasi carpeted yun, yan yung bedroom ko. Diyan ako natutulog. May mga on top of all the clothes, 'di ba, na nakahang. That was my bedroom. Ganyan. So that's how we started. Pero
Oh,
after about
because a
a year,
studio apartment is a place na walang partition di ba? So walang bedroom, is just one whole room, di ba? Tama.
nandiyan na. So parang, 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 na apartment, ganyan. Tapos may konting kusina. Tapos, you go to this closet to go to the bathroom. Nandyan yung bedroom ko. Nasa sahig. Natutulog ako sa carpet. So that's how I
Okay.
started. And then about a year and a half later, yun yung sisters ko, they were able to buy a house. So we moved into a house.
Sino yung nag-buy ng house?
My sisters.
Parang co-owned nila, dalawa, they bought a house.
Yeah. Yes.
Pero ano na sila, may with papers na yung sisters mo by the time because they bought a house eh.
Wala pa.
So pwede pala yon?
Yeah, pwede.
So, bakit? Para may sarili na kayong bahay tinitirhan.
Yeah, kasi
Or was it for practical reasons also? Para hindi na kayo nagre-rent? I don't know.
Yeah. Correct. Kasi at that time, pag dumating ka sa US, kailangan mo ng social security. And at that time, yung social security number, you're able to get one.
Kahit na TNT ka, bibigyan ka ng social security number?
Well, pag maabilidad ka, makakakuha ka. So, nasa abilidad yun. Tsaka connection.
Sorry, break up. So,
you can get it through...
diskarte.
Diskarte,
so, through
correct.
Diskarte. At abilidad. So, it's also let's say, sabihin natin, it's a black market service also offered by Filipinos who are there na. Okay, sige. Huwag mo nang i-expound. Okay na yun. So, lahat kayo, bakit importante na may social security number? Para makatransact ka, makabili ka, ganon?
Yeah, that's how US keep track of, you paying your taxes.
So, yung social security number mo, kung TNT ka pa lang, pag hindi ka na TNT, is it still the same social security number?
Correct, yeah. You only have one.
So valid pa rin siya.
Yeah, yun talaga yung number mo hanggang mamatay ka.
Tapos mag-apply ka na lang, iba na lang ng status mo kasi magiging permanent resident ka na, then magiging American citizen ka na.
Kasi very lax noon. Kasi, they can give you a social security, but for those that are not residents, they actually mark it as not valid for work or, not valid for
Ah,
employment.
yes. Okay.
And then
But
when
they
you look
still
for a
give
job,
you. But they
they
still
still
give
give
you.
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, magkasama kayo ng dalawang sisters mo, may sarili na silang bahay, kasama ka pa rin?
correct. Yeah. So we're all living in the same house.
How long did that take na you were still with them?
Mm, maybe about uh, uh, maybe 3 years, 4 years. Kasi bumukod na rin ako after that. Nag-room for rent na rin ako. Naghanap ako ng marentahan na room sa isang Filipino,
Landlord.
landlord. Yeah. So, mga 3 years, ganyan.
Masasabi mo na bang time na yon na parang you had already stable work at the time, or mamaya may
Um,
work, mamaya lipat na naman, ano ba? Or maraming work, multiple jobs, ano ba ginagawa mo nung
well,
time?
when I first started, nag-a-apply ako ng, odd jobs, di ba? Any odd jobs. Tapos, hihingan ka ng credentials. Uy, college graduate ka, bakit ka mag-a-apply ng cashier, di ba? Unang job na in-applyan ko to be a cashier sa car wash, eh. Just like, yeah, you're so overqualified. Tapos, nag-apply ako ng job sa grocery store, to help sa bakery, ganyan. Wala, hindi rin ako natanggap, ganyan. But then,
Hindi ka natanggap dahil overqualified ka, ganon?
sort of, ganon. But
Or
I
tingin
found
nila,
out
or
working in,
tiningnan nila malambot yung kamay mo, so ba't ka mag-stack ng tinapay sa bakery? Hindi naman ganon.
hindi naman ganon.
Oh. So anong nalandingan mo na trabaho?
I work for a bank. I started working in a bank.
Ha? So bank din?
Sa bangko din, yeah. So, abilidad na rin yun.
Pero at the time, wala ka pa ring legal papers no, noong time na yon.
Wala. So, abilidad.
Grabe ha? Galing ha? Well, hindi galing. Ibig sabihin, I mean, luck. Maganda naman yung luck na ano. But, so, tumagal ka dun sa bank?
I did, maybe about 3 years.
As
3 years.
what?
I used it as a teller again.
So,
Mabilis
counting dollars naman this time. Counting lots of dollars.
easier kasi konti lang yung bibilangin mo eh. Di ba?
Kasi yung cash konti lang, yung cash transaction.
Correct, yeah. So,
Mas maraming cheque na i-record mo.
correct. So, I work in a bank as a teller again, di ba? But after 1 week, kasi believe sila sa akin magbalanse ng pera, na-promote ka agad ako. Parang supervisor. After 1 week, ha?
Grabe, ha?
Ako na yung supervisor ng mga tellers.
Etong tanong ko, babad ka na sa Filipino community by the time, masasabi mo bang mas maswerte at mas maswerte comparative sa iba yung na-experience mo na yung in terms of finding that job?
Yeah. Kasi may kaibigan ako noon at that time, may papel, hindi makahanap ng trabaho. So it's like,
Really?
yeah,
Really?
so makahanap ng trabaho, ganyan. Kasi kung minsan kasi pag may papel ka, medyo mapili ka kung anong trabaho eh. Diba? Kasi, wala kang so
choosy, no?
Choosy. Medyo choosy ka. Siyempre naman kasi, di ba, how can, if you're earning like $7 an hour, I can find a job that can pay me more, di ba? So actually, yung work sa bank, wala naman akong reklamo. I actually, was happy at that time kasi kumikita na nga ako. I mean, nakapagtrabaho na, ganyan. So, kasi nagtatrabaho ako yung tinatawag nilang Bolt. Nasa Bolt ako. Actually, yung mga pumapasok sa akin, yung mga store owners sa mall, kasi across the mall lang yung bangko namin. So, they bring in their deposits, they come and exchange yung mga smaller bills para pag nagbarya-barya, ganyan. They come there every day. And nagiging kaibigan ko yung mga taong pumupunta doon. They like me kasi mabilis daw ako mag ng transaction.
Mag-transact.
Ganyan. So, yung iba nakakaibigan ko, kaya kumisan yung mga nagtatrabaho sa Burger King, ganyan, sa Chick-fil-A, ganyan. Nakaibigan ko yung mga yon. Kaya pag lunchtime, kunwari doon ako kakain, pag nakikita nila ako, yung pagkain ko libre na.
Pero,
Nakakaibigan.
pero,
Discount.
wini-wish mo talaga na, o nga, i-discount ka o ilibre kasi may goodwill ka na sa kanila. So,
Correct.
malaking tipid yon. At that time, single ka pa.
Correct,
You had only had yourself to support.
Correct, yeah.
May blessing naman sa sisters mo nung nagbumukod ka na, nung nagsolo ka na.
Yeah, may eventually, you want to, kasi nga, yung mga sisters ko kasi parang, kumbaga, parang strict sisters.
Stricto.
Ako medyo, I have a lot of friends, I hang out and stuff. So, ayaw nila yung ganun kasi gusto nga nila lang.
So may yung pagdating sa
So,
social life mo naman, parang may
I wanna be independent, di ba? Yung parang life in Manila, with just by yourself and, bunch of friends.
So fast forward, that was like where? That was still in Carson ba? Carson pa rin ba yun?
Yeah, in Carson.
So, tapos, saan ka sunod after that? Bangko. 3 years ka mo doon. What happened after 3 years?
Yung ginawa ko, parang ginamit ko siya as a transition to another job, yung bangko. Kasi I befriended a guy that always comes in and make deposits. So tinanong ko, what's your business? Ano yung trabaho nila and all that? Yung nature ng business nila. So sabi ko, can I apply there? So sabi niya, sure, why not? So they actually hired me too. Kaya naging transition yun. Nag-work na lang ako part-time sa bangko. And then I started working full-time doon sa naging friend ko sa na nakilala ko. Okay, pero nung naglipat ako, hindi rin naglast yung work na yun kasi in less than like in 6 months time, may kaso sila with the state and all that na sinarado yung company. So
minalas kasi
yeah.
Hindi mo kagagawan
maganda na sana yung transition ko kasi they like me, ganyan. They like what I do. Pero yun, minalas, nagsarado yung company. So, I became unemployed.
Oh, wow.
So, at that time, medyo, na rin, talagang mahirap ang situation because I was already paying for a car na binili ko.
Oh, wow.
Naguhulog-hulugan na ako. So, wala akong, like, where you gonna get the money to, di ba? So, talagang mahirap at that time. Kasi 4 months akong naging unemployed. So, parang like, kailan pa, when is my next big break gonna come in, di ba?
Sino nagbabayad ng expenses mo during those times?
Nakatira ako sa sisters ko. Siyempre,
wala na yung boarding house mo, ginibab mo na.
No, that was that time. Kasi 3 years, diba?
Yun yung time na okay, nakatira ka pa sa kanila.
Yeah, I'm still living with them. Yun. Tapos, siyempre, kasi noon, pag nag-a-apply ka ng trabaho, hindi online hindi pa uso yung internet noon.
Oo.
So, nagtatrabaho ka, yung naghahanap ka ng trabaho through newspaper ads.
Oo.
Mga classified ads doon. So,
yes.
Ang dami kong ina-applyan. I'm sending, resumes left and right, ganyan, at that time. And then come like about, kasi 4 months, at the end of that fourth month, may tumawag na sabi, we had your resume for a while. They were starting a new business venture. Nakita niya yung resume ko. He just set it aside kasi they're still processing and putting together the company, yung mga licenses and all that stuff. And at that time, sabi niya, we like your resume, we like your experience, and it fits for the position that we're looking for. Kaya nag-interview ako. So parang after I interviewed actually, I was hired on the spot.
Uh-huh.
Trabaho ka agad. So talagang tuwang-tuwa ako kasi like, pero at that time parang nag-hold back din kasi wala nga akong papers, 'di ba? So ano kayang ano nito?
Oh.
Ano kayang
Hindi pa
hahanapin
nila
nila?
alam. Hindi nila
Wala,
alam.
they don't know, 'di ba? So ano kayang hahanapin nila? Kasi syempre pag naghanap na sila ng papers ganyan, yung exit strategy mo is like, I'm not accepting the job offer. I have another job offer. 'Di ba? Kasi para hindi na sila hindi na sila diyan na okay, much better yung offer na ano. Pero etong employer, they're so nice na sabi ko sa kanila, okay, what paperwork do you need from me? Sabi sa akin, nabigla talaga ako nung sinabi na none. We know where you live. So wala, my name, my social, yun na yung binigay ko sa kanila. Wala naman, hindi naman nila hinanap talaga kung ako yan or ano. Kasi very trusting nga yung mga tao noon kasi they're not really exposed at that time kung ano yung TNT. They don't know that.
So,
Kasi
swerte na naman yun. Medyo...
Yung TNT naman talaga, parang nag-start lang yan siya nung during the, after the EDSA revolution. So maybe mga around 80s kasi 'di ba syempre yung economy ng Philippines medyo na talaga tagilid na at that time.
Nagpuntahan na sa Amerika.
People are exploring other options outside of the Philippines.
Oo.
Kaya yung TNT parang nauso na talaga yun nung 80s, 80s and early 90s.
Oo.
Tsaka yung nursing kasi yun yung parang nag-ano din ng drive a lot of people to 'di ba na maghanap ng trabaho elsewhere because of, the job market. Yun.
Mm-hmm.
So swerte ako sa employer ko na yun. That was my single greatest blessing in my life because nag-umpisa nga yung company na yan, startup, but they already have an existing company. They created another, parang nag-branch out sila to another service. And ako yung na-hire na first employee at that time. And I stayed with that company for 18 years.
Okay. 18 years? Okay. So yun na yung talagang employer mo na for almost all yung parang naging career mo na siya dyan sa Amerika.
Career ko na siya talaga. And
in between, ano yun? Carson ka pa rin that time?
Yes. Yung when I started working in there, Carson, correct, yeah.
Tapos, single ka pa nun?
Single pa, yes. Yeah. Because I got married in 96.
When you were, how old were you when you got married?
31.
31?
Yeah, so dumating ako dito ng US 5 years.
Ang asawa mo ba Pilipina din?
Yes, she's from Davao.
Taga Davao, Bisaya gyud. Bisaya gyud. Pero ano siya, American? May siya, American citizen.
Correct, yeah.
Nung naging asawa mo siya, may papers ka na nun? Binabalik ko lagi sa papers. Parang ako yung rude Pinoy na nagtatanong no? Do you have papers?
Actually, with that employer na pinasukan ko, inasikaso ko yung work permit kasi payag naman silang sponsor ako. That is after maybe mga 2 years na ako nagtatrabaho doon. Yung parang may tawag dito, nagkaroon ako ng lakas ng loob to open up to them na I have a problem, boss, I have a problem. Can I tell you my problem? Siyempre, hindi ko gagawin yun kung I don't feel like na they can help me. Diba? And of course, pinakita ko rin yung, that yung performance ko, yun talaga yung na talaga hindi nila ako maiindihan because of, my work.
Yung pinakita mo naman na quality of work at saka efficiency mo.
So yun, in-approach ko sila if they can sponsor me for a work visa because of, like my situation. So, hindi naman siya yung may-ari. Inano niya ako, parang sinuport niya lang ako, di ba? Yung parang...
In-endorse ka niya.
Yeah, in-endorse niya ako with the owner of the company. So yung owner of the company, pumayag naman kasi sabi ko, wala naman kayong gagawin. I already have an attorney that will do all the paperwork. Signature lang sa kanila.
So nakamada mo na lahat. Ano yun? You had to spend, gumastos ka para doon sa lawyer?
Yeah, meron akong attorney na kinuha to help me with, the paperwork.
Kasi siya, tama. Siya rin ang maglalatag sa'yo ng mga dapat mong gawin, no? At ng
Yeah,
mga
kung ano
legal
yung yeah. Kasi,
procedures na,
yeah, and I think they still do that now. In to some extent, I guess, they'll what they do is parang i-prove nila sa sa immigration officer or sa I don't know, Department of State or whatever kung saan ka nag-apply na this guy we need him for our business. We've already gone through the local applicants. Wala kaming makitang that will suit this
i-justify nung company, the company that will sponsor you, i-justify nila sa
na that
gobyerno
correct that they've
na
exhausted means looking for the
kailangan essential worker ka para sa business nila, ganon.
correct, yeah. So pwede
Okay.
yun.
So madaling sabi, yun ang first step na naging legal ka na finally, hindi ka na TNT.
Yeah, well, yeah,
working visa tawag doon? Working visa?
Working visa.
Pero hindi pa yun yung resident, hindi pa?
Hindi pa kasi from their working visa, pag after I think 5 years, yun bibigyan ka na nila ng green. Mako-convert mo yung green card. Another bayaran na naman yun sa attorney.
Okay.
Yung parang okay, you've been in the same company, so pwede ka nang i-transition into a green card.
So pag green card na, medyo safe ka na noon, safe na.
Siyempre, kasi parang lumabas na permanent resident ka
permanent resident.
The only difference between a green card and a citizen is your rights to vote. Yun lang naman yung
so pwede pa lang forever ka lang na green card na you don't have to transition into being a citizen.
Correct, yeah. It's the same, basically the same privileges. But if you have aspirations to run for an office or something, then they require you to be citizen.
Or to work for government, ganon? Do they require you to be a citizen to work for government? Hindi naman.
Yeah, green card is
okay. Kaya pala for some kamag-anak ko parang sabi ko, what? 50 years ka na dyan sa Amerika, ngayon ka lang nag-citizen. Sabi niya, pero anyway, mga ganong kwentuhan pala. Kaya pala ganon, no? Anyway, so nag-asawa ka eventually. Na-meet mo itong Dabawenya na sa Carson din ba yon? Carson din?
She lived in a different city at that time. So
tapos nung between na naging mag-asawa na kayo, kailan kayo lumipat? Kasi ang main contention natin dito, yung curiosity ng mga kababayan natin sa Utah kasi it's quite a unique place na hindi kami familiar about Kailan kayo nag-Utah at paano kayo nag-decide na sabi nung isa may nag-comment dito ipapakita ko muna, no? Ipapakita ko muna kung i-qualify mo to kung tama yung comment niya. Sabi niya ito, biggest church there is Mormon. So tama ba 'yon? Biggest church there is Mormon. Tapos ito pa sabi niya, may snow dyan. Ayan, okay yan, may snow.
May snow. Actually, yung nickname ng Utah is pag nakikita mo yan, may yun sila parang tawag dito. Phrase na sinasabi, greatest snow on earth. Kasi talagang powder snow.
Greatest snow on earth. Hindi greatest snow, greatest snow.
Yeah, the greatest snow on earth.
Now, ngayon nare-recall ko na ngayon from some classic movies na napanood ko, Utah yung 'di ba, yung parang mga nangangabayo sila ng mahaba tapos sa Utah kasi tapos they founded the religion, tama ba? Utah ba 'yon?
Yeah, well, that's part of Mormonism kasi this is the place that started where they, expanded Mormonism Um,
Yun!
kasi meron ng Mormonism before Utah. Nag-move lang sila
Oo.
dito from the east, nag-move sila dito. They actually trek, kasi they're suffering persecutions doon
Ah,
sa
so
east.
parang inapi-api din yung mga Mormons kasi because of their religion, ganun ba yun?
Correct, yeah. Kasi marami na api sila, naiinggit yung mga tao because where they settle, nagiging nagpo-flourish yung nila community.
Yung
And
community nila, parang mga Hudyo, parang yung nung pine-persecute din yung mga Hudyo nung mga unang
they're
panahon
really
din.
persecuted, yeah. May mga mobs, the leaders are being killed. Actually,
Ah,
they
grabe ha.
killed
As in?
the leader of the church that they called Prophet Joseph Smith at that time. Pinersecute, pinatay, ganyan. Then, all they want
Wow.
is actually just freedom of religion, diba? They just want to practice their belief in peace. Kaso,
Okay.
nagiging threat nga sila from the, residents of that state. Kasi, syempre, nag-i-expand, nadadami, ganyan, to threat na baka mag-overtake yung, Mormonism kasi they have,
Oo.
so, kaya yun, they decided to trek from, to move from that location, sa Illinois, nag-trek sila all the way west of Mississippi.
Oh, kasi
Dito sa
may scene yan eh na yung trek nila grabe yung dinaanan nilang hardship, 'di ba? Kasi daan silang disyerto, tapos siyempre may mga namamatay, may mga
yeah,
attacks.
they went through, through the different seasons. Yung pinaka-worst talaga is, during winter time. Kasi
Grabe
syempre,
ah.
they were
Nasa
walking, di ba? So,
nasa gitna sila tapos hindi lahat nagsumasakay sa kabayo, lahat yung iba naglalakad lang ganon. Yun yung trek na
they
sinasabi
do,
mo?
yeah, cart, yung inaano nila na yung cart, parang kariton, nandyan lahat ng
Oo,
gamit nila, di ba? Hand,
hinihila.
hinihila nila.
Grabe, no? Grabe pala. I mean, kahit sa Pilipinas, hindi natin na-experience yan kahit gaano tayo kahirap dinaanan natin. Pero grabe yung dinaanan pala ng mga yan, no?
Oh,
Because of religious persecution,
correct. So,
tsaka
parang
prejudice, tsaka yung, alam mo na, yung mga racist na mga tao, mga ganun, no? At may
mob
patayan
rule,
pa at that time, no?
mob rule siya, they,
Parang yung na-experience din ng mga blacks dun sa mga southern, pero hindi naman ako ganun ka-familiar. Parang ganun din, no? Na pinapatay din sila, ina-attack sila for no reason at all, no? Just because of the color of their skin.
well, that's another thing. I don't think that, like, kasi mga puti naman yung karamihan doon, di ba? So, when it started, ganyan. So, racism and, religious persecution, I think, are two different things.
Magkaiba, no? Oo, tama. Kasi ang karamihan pa, ang mga Mormons were majority mainly whites naman di ba? At the start,
Yeah.
no? Ngayon lang naman na
Yeah,
may
kasi
Asians na
along the way during that trek, pag may namatay, na yan, ililibing na nila dyan and then they'll never ever go back and see that grave anymore. So talagang
Oo.
malungkot yung story, di ba? Na
So
namamatay.
ngayon,
Okay.
nag-flourish yung kaya pala kilala ngayon naalala ko na kaya pala nare-recall ko yung Utah kasi yung state na yan kasi yun nga Mormon, 'di ba?
Yes.
Parang diyan lumipat at diyan nag-flourish ang diyan nila na build yung community nila, no?
Correct.
Yung Mormons which was based on their religion and their belief and their faith, tama? No?
Correct.
Ikaw naman from being a Californian lumipat ka sa Utah, well, sabi mo because of the Four Seasons. Ano yun, may mga anak na kayo and you decided na
May tatlong
magulo
anak.
ba ang California? Magulo ba? Is it better? Is yung paglipat nyo ba, is it a better place to raise your children? Anong nagtulak sa inyo? Ano ba talaga? And yeah.
Yeah, so may tatlong anak na kami bago kami lumipat ng Utah at that time. Yung situation kasi sa California, where you live, that's where your children, goes to school. Yung parang
Yes.
sa public school, di ba? So, if you live in a nicer community, then parang it goes with like, okay, your kids will go to a nicer um, school, di ba?
Yes.
So yung yung purpose namin talaga is just for the kids to have a better um, I mean, like a better school, ganyan. Kaya we decided to move. Kasi
Can you
nagmamahal
say
na at that time yung California, the cost of living.
so can you say na at that time hindi ganun kaganda ang community where you were living at in California?
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's a personal, it's a personal choice. You know what I mean? So yun yung inano namin na this is where our kids we want to be. But kasi by the way, nung 1994, nag-join ako ng church ng Mormon Church. It's now known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes. No,
so,
wait. I didn't quite catch that. You mean nung 1994, nasa California ka pa noon?
Correct, yeah.
Tapos ano ka na rin, nag-join ka na sa naging Mormon ka na rin, ganon? Tama ba yung term?
Well, you joined the church,
Nag-join ka na doon sa church, okay? From originally being a Filipino Roman Catholic, naging nag-join ka na sa church nila.
Correct, yeah. Well,
may nag-influence ba sa'yo na may Sorry?
Convert is what they call.
Convert? So may nag-influence ba sa'yo or may nabasa ka ba? Ano ba? Anong nangyari?
Not really influence kasi you have your own mind,
Yes. Pero ano yung what led you? Mali yung tanong ko. I have to rephrase my question. What led you? Para bang may kumausap ba sa'yo? May nabasa ka ba? Ano nangyari? What happened?
Well, I have a friend na a couple na friend na that invited me to have dinner with them, and at that time, dahil single ako, pumunta ako na join dinner, and then they invited the missionaries of the church. They were there too, and they shared the message with me, and I find it interesting. And maybe at that time, parang I'm already searching, for something. So yun, they came in at a perfect time. Kaya
ang dalawang sisters mo, nare-recall ko na binanggit mo kanina, you mentioned earlier, they were strict, they were conservative. Ano din sila? I suppose religious na Roman Catholic religious, ganon?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's an interesting process because I was living with them, right, at that time, and I'm investigating another church. So syempre,
yes.
It's it's a difficult situation, di ba? Because I don't want the missionaries to come in the house because they're gonna say, "Who are they?" Like, why are they here?
Madi-describe mo ba yung sisters mo sa term na ginagamit natin na sarado katoliko? Yung ganun ba yung sisters mo?
Yes.
Oh no!
So,
ano yun? Komplikasyon yun.
I don't hold it against them because they're practicing Catholic, di ba?
Oo nga, hindi, wala naman eh. Ang sinasabi ko lang, yung at that time, ine-entertain mo yung kahit pa nga anong religion, doesn't even have to be Latter-day Saints. The fact na sarado katoliko yung sisters mo, medyo komplikado yon, di ba?
Yeah, kasi, I mean, you're born Catholic, you die Catholic, di ba?
Oo.
So, yung phrase na yan, na ganyan. So
eventually, you took that leap, nag-convert ka into that new religion, the Latter-day Saints, and then, did it cause any complication with your sisters or with your family for that matter? With your family back in the Philippines?
Yes. Very much so. Yeah, very much so. Like to the point that parang i-disown ka na nila or
Grabe, no?
But
I could just imagine kasi yung time na yun, hindi siya kasing open nung time ngayon eh. Ngayon medyo mas liberal na yung mga tao eh. Pero
kaya nga nung nag-i-investigate ako ng church, patago I don't have the missionaries come over there. I actually go to the missionaries apartment and do the lesson there. And then
Okay.
um my sisters, because like when you're learning, when I was investigating, I had a feeling of excitement, something new. I want to learn more, I want to know more. So they see that change in me na parang ano nangyari to, parang like I'm more jolly, happy, like yung perspective ko about life change, ganyan, di ba? So nagtataka sila, like, and Sundays, nakikita nila nagpa-plancha na ako ng shirt ko, I'm wearing white shirt, tie, may simbahan akong pinupuntahang iba, ganyan. So parang,
Ah.
parang anong nangyari?
Ano
Anong
yun? Parang were
kain?
they pleasantly surprised or were they suspicious?
Well, more on the yung more on the latter na yung talagang parang why parang nagre-recruit lang
Oo,
sila ng
kino-question
members
nila,
nila.
oo. Why the change? Right.
Why? Yan, di ba? Bakit? Ganun, So, it's a personal preference. And I think, where I am at now, in the stage of my life, nakita nila na, like there's nothing wrong with the decision I made,
Wait,
because of how
wait,
we're raising the children,
wait.
of how we're focused on
Nung,
family.
nung nag-asawa ka, ano ka na nun? Mormon ka na?
Correct, yeah, because my wife is also a Mormon, sort of like member ng Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She grew up in Davao and their family converted while they were still living in Davao.
Okay. Yung
So
pala
she
yun.
grew up basically
I thought it was through you na naging Mormon din yung wife mo. No, hindi pala.
so she
So,
basically grew up because when they joined the church, she's already I think 6 or 8 years old. So she basically grew up in the church.
okay. So, gano'n. So, ano lang pala, it was swabe lang. Tapos, napili nyo ba yung Utah because komportable kayo kasi Mormon na kayo, both, and family ninyo?
Yes. Yeah.
Parang
We would move
naisip,
somewhere else kung di kami Mormon dito.
okay.
Because
At tsaka, go, sige, go.
um we thought too na like okay, how is it gonna be kasi sa California medyo talagang diverse yung population, di ba? So
Oo,
we know that in Utah you'll have Mormon neighbors, so we want to
oo,
experience how is it living between the neighborhood of Mormons, di ba? That
yes,
kids play with the same faith, ganyan. Hindi naman sinasabing perfect ano siya, but
yes,
your neighbors, who your friends that or I mean the friends of the kids that they play with,
oo,
ganyan,
oo,
around
oo.
yung family, ganyan. So we felt good about that. So we take the leap of moving to Utah from California. We don't know anybody here. I mean, well,
Yes.
we know some people, but we're not like gonna be living close to any of our friends. You know what I mean?
Oo, kasi wala namang
Wala
Hindi
talaga.
naman di naman usual na may Pinoy diyan eh, 'di ba? Or kamag-anak eh.
Yeah,
Kasi 'di
so,
ba?
yeah, so,
Especially na usually kung magmo-move ka sa papunta sa isang lugar, ay doon tayo kasi nearby lang si kamag-anak, si kakilala, si kababayan. Sa inyo iba eh, 'di ba? Parang
yeah.
parang ibang dimension yung pupuntahan nyo eh, no? Parang ibang
So,
universe.
yeah, we actually know quite a few friends, pero hindi naman yung close talaga na you're living next to them or something.
At
So,
Pinoy din ba o not necessarily?
we have some kasi yung wife ko when we were still dating at that time, she went to school here. She's
Oh.
stayed with Filipino yung
Sa
Filipino
Utah you mean. So may Utah experience na siya.
may
Okay.
experience na siya. So at that time nung nagde-date kami, pag weekends nagda-drive ako from California to here to visit her, ganyan. So yeah. And
So
then
may tsaka parang sort of may de facto kamag-anak na siya kasi Pinoy, alam mo naman pagka
correct. And then
ano.
and me, I have a lot of friends, and like when I was still living in California, bumabalik-balik na rin ako, and like stay with my friends, ganyan.
Etong question ko, moving that radically, ganyan radical move, did it mean that you had to quit your job and, look for another job? Ano nangyari?
At that time, in-approach ko na rin yung boss ko na sabi ko, can I work from home? Pumayag naman. So yun na yung naging start, since we moved here,
Ah,
I actually was
galing!
working from home.
You
Pero
mean ang employer mo is still in California, ganon?
yeah, so nagiging ano na lang, online, ganyan.
So, nauna ka pa pala by decades sa sa pandemic diyan sa WFH na mode na 'yan, naunahan mo
work
pa.
from home.
Oh, ngayon they now call it
Home na. Pero actually,
WFH. Oh.
yeah, the first 2 years that we're moving here, actually, my job required me to commute to California every week. Kasi I was in nagta-transition yung company because they got bought out. And then I had bigger responsibilities. So I commute to California for about 2 years, back and forth. I stayed there for 1 week, uwi ako ng weekend, balik na naman Monday. So that was tough, being away from family and then, doon. So eventually, actually, that job, I got laid off kasi binili sila, and then ganon. So for 2 years, I was commuting back and forth California and Utah.
Okay. Galing ah. Pero nakita ko sa picture, teka may picture na naman ako nakita eh. Kasama to sa, hindi kita pinapastok ha, kaya lang may mga agents ako na nagpo-provide ng picture eh. Palagay ko mga neighbors mo to. Palagay ko you should be wary of your neighbors kasi parang ini-spy nila yung buhay mo dyan eh. Pero ang mga neighbors mo, mga Mormons din eh, so baka friendly lang talaga sila.
Yeah.
Yan no, yan. That's your family, right?
Yes.
Is that present na ba yan? Current photo
Yeah,
yan?
that picture was just taken a few months ago during
Okay.
fall time, autumn.
Ano yung fall? Yung bago mag-winter? Yung ba yun?
When mag-winter, that's when the leaves start to change colors.
Tapos may nakuha pang picture yung neighbor mo na syempre hindi ko i-disclose kung sino. Parang na-hack nila yung dashcam mo or something, no? Parang family mo to, di ba?
Yes.
Yan. So, yun. Ingat ka dyan. Hindi naman. parang masaya kayo dyan, no? How many years na kayo dyan sa Utah na yan?
13 going on 14.
Haba na, tapos parang masaya, no? Kasi, alam mo, kung minsan, siguro Hollywood or kwento ng mga kamag-anak ko, kasi dami rin kamag-anak sa California, merong mga problems. Minsan, issue sa kanila yung gang, yung youth gang sa California.
Correct. Who your kids associate with. It goes with the environment.
Can you just imagine na nauubos yung memory ng ano, tamo na green screen na ako ulit to. Nauubos yung memory sa tuloy-tuloy na pag-uusap natin. Di bali, this is prepping you to be your own host of your own show, ha? Kasi
Okay.
naiiwan ka, no? um, interesting, no? We should nakaano na pala 1.5 hours na tayo. I thought we can wrap up in a 30-minute conversation eh. Pero it's kinda interesting. Wala namang putol yung kwentuhan natin, no? And I think it's also informative for Filipinos na lalo na kahit siguro sa Amerika kasi again, sabi ko sa most of my relatives hindi rin sila familiar sa Utah eh, no?
Yes. Yeah.
They're concentrated. I have a lot in may mga friends tayo sa New York, sa California. Babalik ako sa California, especially big cities like LA. I hear terrifying stories na may na-meet ako dati na siguro mga 2 decades ago. Sabi ko, bakit may Inglesero dito na ano na Pinoy looking, pero Inglesero. Sabi niya, ano yan, pinatakas ng magulang niya kasi barkada niya mga gangs in LA. Sabi gano'n. Batang-bata pa, minor de edad pa nga eh. Sabi ko, gangs? Di ba gangs mga ano yun? Yung mga organized crime? Sabi niya, hindi ko maintindihan kasi then they were trying to explain to me. Sabi, hindi. Ano, gangs na ano na youth gangs, mga bata pa, mga ganun. May ganon? Totoo ba yun? Are this, or hindi ko lang naintindihan or urban legend lang yun? Hindi ko,
Hindi, meron talaga.
do you have knowledge about that?
Yeah, and not really like direct knowledge, but naririnig mo yung mga kwentong ganyan, or it's not kasi kung gang parang iniisip mo parati, yung mga Latino, yung mga itim, ganyan.
Oo, oo,
There's actually,
exactly.
but there's actually probably, yung mga lumaki na talaga ng around that neighborhood too na ganyan, na mga Filipinos na, are part of their own, parang ganong gang. But you know, hindi ko, I don't have any direct knowledge
Yung
about.
first-hand experience mo. Pero
Yeah.
ako talaga na-meet ko yung ano at nakausap ko yung bata na yon. That was like 2 decades ago, no?
Kaya yun nga yung importante kasi like yung school kasi, yung school district kung saan ka na nakatira, then diyan din yung concentration ng mga kids that go to that school, are mixed,
Parang peer
from
influence
different
din,
neighborhoods.
ganon.
Yeah.
Oo.
So, yeah, and
Okay. So,
like Utah is actually yung ano talaga namin at that time is like, okay, parang ano lang ba, parang biro-biro ganyan, like okay, let's move to Utah kasi maraming puti ganyan. So let's see how it feels to be, living in a white neighborhood.
amongst,
Yeah, like white neighborhood. Parang ano lang, biro-biro lang,
and
pero
you've been there 13 years na.
13 years na, yes. And
Okay.
we're the only Filipino in our community, ganyan. May mga friends din kami around the area, ganyan na.
Okay.
But in the
Sige,
church dito, kami lang
hindi
yung
pa ako
Filipino.
nagpuntang Amerika pero ilalagay ko rin sa listahan ko na dapat stop over ko rin yung lugar nyo, no? Kasi that's
Well,
kind of,
yeah,
that's interesting, no? Interesting siya
yeah.
eh.
If you like nature, it's actually very nice to stop by and visit
So
you.
may ano, mga like
Park.
mountains and
Yeah,
parks,
yung
nature
mga
parks.
yung mga bukid na mga bato ganyan sa mga movies. They're usually
Oh,
dito yan.
okay.
Yeah, and very nature kasi bukid nga.
Hindi, I think it's bundok kung Tagalog, bundok. Bukid kasi ano eh, agricultural fields yun eh sa Tagalog.
Pero bundok na bukid.
Bukid
Yeah,
sa Hiligay noon, yeah.
yeah, correct. Yeah. So nature, a lot of mountains. Ganyan.
Okay.
So it's beautiful scenery actually.
If you don't mind, what are you doing currently? Like, are you still working for a company or what? What do you do now?
Since after I got laid off, I actually decided to start my own venture.
Okay,
In
wow.
the
Oh,
same, it's in the same line of work. Um, and what I did was, look for clients that are in the same field of work that I did for, 18 years, and then I said, pwedeng gawin to sa bahay, pwedeng gawin outside of US. So actually, I started like a small outsourcing company in
Ah,
the Philippines.
so you own a BPO back here sa
Maliit
Pilipinas.
lang, very small.
So parang 'di ba ang sektor na ever since nagtrabaho ka is like in the financial services sector ba natin makaklasify, ganon?
I would say like in the insurance industry.
Insurance mismo, okay.
Insurance last financial.
Okay. So medyo ilang dekada na medyo kabisado mo na yung sektor na yan.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Usap tayo minsan ah. Oh.
yeah.
I have novel ideas eh. Hindi ko pa nasasabi lang. Ngayon ko lang sinasabi. Na-announce ko. By the way, mga venture capitalist dyan, may papuputukin kami ni Greg Cajilig na insurance tech. No? The startup ecosystem is kind of robust right now, no? Even with the pandemic. So medyo babad din ako diyan. So usap tayo about that, no?
Yeah, there's
We
all kinds of opportunities, I guess, with with what happened in the pandemic and stuff.
Sa experience mo ba, sa experience mo even, pandemic or no pandemic, sa personal experience mo sa work, sa opportunities na that came your way, would you advise people to be in business on their own, to go on their own? Or would you advise them, whether they're Filipinos in America, or whether they're Filipinos here in the Philippines, or whether Filipinos sa Iloilo, would you advise them na ano yung mas stable at mas safe at better, working for a company and earning a salary, or going on your own venture, which you took a risk, you took a very big risk, 'di ba?
Yeah,
Tama? Going on your own is taking a very big risk. Eh. It's like moving out of your sister's home, eh, 'di ba?
yeah. Promoting, correct.
'Di ba? Na hindi mo
Yung
pa alam mababayaran ko ba yung ano ko, yung boarding house
bills
ko.
mo,
So
ganyan.
what would you advise?
It's a personal preference, if you're the entrepreneurial type, why not, 'di ba? If you have a good business sense, why not? You can always do something, 'di ba? If you wanna have control of your time, because that's a main factor, 'di ba? If you're a business owner, mahirap sa umpisa. Of course, you're
Yes.
gonna struggle because you gotta find out what type of business, who's gonna be your clients, how you're gonna service them, how you're gonna make money, diba? So, mahirap yan kasi, different from when you're just an employee kasi all you gotta do is just go prepare your resume, sell yourself to the employer through an interview, and then, you get you get hired, you get paid. Yeah, and then you just continue to perform. But, as an entrepreneur, you have to continue to innovate, di ba? Kailangan mo talagang, think outside the box parate. Kasi mahirap yung ano ka lang yung kampante ka lang in one area kasi you don't know, like, yung pandemic mangyari ganyan, 'di ba? And then your clients, all of a sudden nawala, 'di ba? Or naapektuhan, then apektado ka rin.
So, ikaw ba sa business mo, were you affected by the pandemic? Or
Kasi yung sa business namin kasi apektado talaga kasi insurance yun eh. And people that you insure are business owners. Kung nagsarado yung business nila, nag-slow down, then,
hindi na sila magpapa-insure?
wala nang insurance or tawag dito yung hindi na sila magpapa-insure, ganyan. Hindi na nila kailangan. Close na
So
yung business.
B2B ang business ninyo, B2B, hindi siya personal insurance, ganon.
Yeah, it's business to business. Yes.
Okay. Ang next question ko maybe as going to the finale. Sabi nila kasi for a discussion to remain safe daw, you don't talk about religion and politics. Tama ba 'yon? Ganon din ba sa experience mo? Kasi mamaya daw mga magkaibigan mag-away na. Tama ba 'yon?
Totoo yan.
Pero wala
Totoo
na eh.
yan.
Nag-usap na tayo about
matter of respect, ganyan.
Nag-usap na tayo about religion eh. So kulang na lang politics, 'di ba? Nag-usap na tayo about your religion, no? I'm not that religious myself, pero no? Well, siguro ang mag-aaway lang naman o magiging complicated lang yung discussion about religion is if I question your decision, eh, 'di ba? Parang susupalpalin ko. Bakit? Nung
Yeah.
gaganon ako, di ba? Hindi naman eh. I won't even dare do that because I don't do that. No? Ang pangalawa, medyo hanggang ngayon, medyo recently magulo pa yung political situation ba yon or transition na magta-transition na kayo ng
Yeah.
presidente pero may mga skirmishes pa na nangyayari, may mga
Well, eventually
rally-rally.
things will settle
Di
down.
ba Pilipino lang mahilig sa rally? Di ba? Ba't may mga dyan sa inyo, may mga rally-rally na dyan?
Yeah, well, eventually things will probably settle down,
Okay. Normal lang, no?
It's just normal. People are angry. People are, you cannot, um, whoever is in office could not really, please everybody. So you just have to show, respeto, ganyan. Basta walang dayaan.
Ang communication ko, I have friends na especially from high school and college. I have friends na masasabi natin na parang pro-democrat ba sila, although hindi ko masyado naintindihan yung American politics, no. And then I have relatives naman on the other hand na lifetime ko na nandyan sila sa Amerika, kasama ko sila, pero almost their adult life nandyan na sila. Dito naman sila sa kay Trump, 'di ba? So parang teka, tapos tinatanong ko sila, syempre hindi ko rin pinapahaba yung diskusyon kasi wala namang relevance sa akin. Sabi ko, di ba, ang understanding ko nung simula, yung mga maka-Trump ay yung mga puti lamang na mga galit sa Asians at galit sa immigrants. Eh, itong mga kamag-anak ko, maka-Trump to eh, di ba? Parang ganon. So, hindi pala, it doesn't follow na ganon.
Well,
Hindi
it
naman.
comes with policies, di ba? And your belief, kung conservative ka ba o liberal ka, di ba? Because that
Okay.
boils down to, di ba? Kasi kung do you want bigger government, you want smaller government. Ganun yung dyan,
Okay.
are you
I'm just trying to understand.
yeah, so ganun
Kasi
yung
so ibig sabihin everything in between yung mga bla 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 diyan ng mga kesyo ganito, kesyo ganyan, pati pa mga conspiracy theories. Ano na lang 'yon? Gawa-gawa na lang 'yon ng pang-entertain. Kaya
well,
lang
yeah.
nagagalit yung mga
Kailan mo
tao
ba
eh.
narinig yung fake news? Di ba yung fake news just started
Oo.
when Trump came into office, di ba?
Oo.
Ganun na yun, parang naging usual. Dapat nga, instead of, COVID or yan yung word of the year ng ng
Oo.
2020, di ba? Puro fake news, ganyan. So, kahit sa Pilipinas, ginagamit na rin yun, fake news, because of
Oo.
social media, people are, and, yung mainstream media, ganyan, they, they spill so many different things. So, hindi mo na alam kung alin yung tama, di ba? So,
wala na eh. Wala nang respectable
you
news
have to do your own
nowadays eh.
research. You have to do your own research, di ba?
Yes.
Ngayon may censorship pa. So, it will be difficult na to figure out. But it's on your belief kung ano yung talaga yung core beliefs mo, di ba? Anong
Oo.
paniniwala mo? Kasi
Anong prinsipyo? Oo.
yeah, you're free, you're independent thinker, di ba? Hindi naman pwede sabihin mo na Pilipino ka, you're siding with certain political party or what, di ba? Na it doesn't go with the color of your skin. It's in your beliefs, what do you believe in, So ganun yung diyan. Mainly it boils down to like conservatism or liberalism.
Ang ako lang naman, ang simple lang dahil again, hindi ko naman inuungkat at ginagranular yung knowledge ko diyan at pagtatanong. I only draw the line sa sa disappointment ko sa tao kapag gumamit na sila ng nagko-call out na sila na, "Are you stupid? Why are you believing in that president?" Yun na, yung pag ganun na, parang kino-question na yung
Well,
diba, parang ganun, parang
get attack na parang personally na outside na
yun.
ano mo, then that's basically hitting below the belt na, di ba?
Oh.
I don't know if kaya maraming di ba, in this era, marami ng mga kamag-anak, magkapamilya, mag-friends, they basically nag-aaway dahil of their political beliefs. Naging talaga.
And
diba?
I thought dito lang sa Pilipinas kasi ganun din eh, mainit din yung side ng politika dito sa Pilipinas with the current administration. Akala ko dito lang mag-aaway at magsasamaan ng loob, pati diyan. No? Yung
So,
mga
much more
kakamag-anak
than
diyan sa Amerika, no?
yeah.
No? So, anyway, ako naman, I just hope na, ano ba, tama na yan. Nakakasawa na pakinggan kasi yung away politika eh. No?
Yeah.
Parang,
Well, there are some people that, that have been marginalized and, they never, kaya you cannot blame people are angry. There's people that are really angry on both sides. Kaya,
okay.
and then it results to violence, and that's not what it's supposed to be, di ba? If violence should stop, kung sino man yung followers leader ng ano na yan, dapat,
Any camp for that matter,
they
yeah.
come for that matter should come out and, you stop it, and there's violence. Yun yung ano dyan yung masama dyan. You're free to express your opinion, whatever, pero when it comes to violence, there
Oh,
should
okay, okay. Ito malalim na question to. Next question ko sa'yo. Do you consider yourself what? Filipino or American? Ano ka ba?
um
Ang hirap naman sagutin.
well, in a way it is, pero talagang, like I consider myself more Americanized now than, like
Okay.
more on the American.
Americanized. Oh.
This is the again, ito yung pinili ko, di ba? This
Oo.
is the life that I know. This is where my happy place is now. That's what I told my
Okay.
the house that we live in is my happy place, because
Okay.
I see the kids here. This is my happy place. And kasi pupunta ako ng Philippines, I always try to imagine just like what is it like to be kung tumira sa Philippines ganyan. Pero parang in the back of my mind parati sinasabi ko na yung ano ko, yung my home now is in the US. Maybe I could say that, but maybe part of my heart it's still in the Philippines kasi we're never close to
Kultura yun eh. Oo.
yeah,
Kultura
na,
kasi. Adult ka na rin naman nung umalis ka dito eh. Hindi
correct.
naman like...
Yeah. So, babalik-balikan mo pa rin yun, but because the kids now are, they grew up here, ganyan. So parang unti-unti nawawala yung ano nila, ganyan. But, as much as possible, we still ano yun nila. Kasi ano nila yung Filipino culture, i-embrace nila, ganyan. Pero you cannot blame that, And I understand that because we chose it eh. So bakit mo i-force talaga yung Filipino
Yes.
culture when you decided, long ago na iwanan na yung Philippines, di ba? So parang unfair sa kids, di ba? Kasi sinasabi ka nila, we don't know the Philippines, ganyan. All they remember when we took them there for vacation and stuff is mainit, ganyan. So parang, unfair talaga sa kids na i-enforce mo talaga sa kanila. This is your choice to go here. So, more or less, talagang ano na sila. So, parang, we call them bananas.
Ano bananas? Oh.
Yellow on the outside, white on the inside. Or actually, not bananas, but maybe coconuts. Brown on the outside, white on the inside. Kasi,
kasi,
ano nila,
mainly white community kayo dyan, no?
Correct, yeah. I mean, ano mo pa rin kasi, maybe because of the environment that they grew up since we moved here, parang kaibigan nila talaga puro mga puti, ganyan.
Yes.
So, yung ano nila, yung the way they do things, iba, ganyan. Iba siguro kung nasa California kami, surrounded with, like a lot of family members and a lot of Filipino friends. I mean, we have tons of friends there and stuff, and stuff. Pero yung ano kasi dito the main difference ngayon sinasabi ko sa is the street that we live in. We know everybody, from the street to the end of the street. Kilala namin yung mga bata and then the kids that we go to school with, ganyan. So medyo kampante kami, and we like that environment.
Naintindihan ko yan kasi parang kami din naman eh, big city, Manila. Consciously, I don't make friends with neighbors kasi hindi ko naman kilala sila eh. Nung lumipat kami like 15 years ago where we are now in this big city. Kasi hindi ko sila kilala, hindi ko alam background nila, hindi ko alam ang activities nila. So, even with my kids and those relatives, that live with us, sabi ko, wag, you don't have to be friends with them. Okay na yung paglabas mo on the way to the gate, to outside of the compound, gaganon ka, pero you don't even have to. 'Di
Mhm.
ba? Kasi
Yeah.
alam mo naman, in the past, may experience din ako na iko-cross ng neighbor mo yung linya eh. 'Di ba? No?
Yeah.
Mamaya feeling na niya close na kayo. Eh ayoko nang ganun na invade yung privacy. Mamaya manghihingi na ng I don't know what, mantika or ano, pero hindi naman uso dito
Well,
yan. Or
actually, uso yan dito.
okay.
Makatoke, my eggs, we ran out of eggs. I don't want to go to the grocery store. Ganyan, or, hingi ng baking powder or whatever.
Talaga? Ang
And
ganda
that's
pala dyan, no?
kasi ano tawag dito, kampante, it's up to you.
Yes,
I mean, it's up to you
exactly.
how you open up to your neighbor.
Exactly. At
Kasi,
saka ano, in terms of crime din, bababa yung crime rate dyan.
correct, yeah.
No?
Mababa, mababa. Like,
Especially na close-knit kayo na community, yung neighbors mo parang kamag-anak mo. So, there's this thing that you also look out for each other. You look out for each other's homes, di ba?
yeah.
No?
Kasi dito sa community, we have like what we call yung parang group, 'di ba? Yung Facebook groups ganyan basically. So we have a community group of all the residents here, and like
Ah,
we share everything and stuff.
dito
So
sa Philippines, ang tawag dyan, Homeowners Association. Yan.
yeah.
Pero,
'Di ba? Parang
pero
ganun.
dito sa Philippines, yung Homeowners Association, mainit yan na pagtatalo kasi parang mini government yan eh. May corruption din na nangyayari. Pero anyway, that's
Yeah.
another topic for another day. So, essentially, that's a good experience. No, ikaw pa lang actually ang kilala kong na Filipino na taga Utah, no?
Uh-huh.
Ilonggo pati, no? Um,
There's a lot of Filipinos here pero na spread out. Hindi sila yung
okay.
parang talaga na
Hindi yung
Carson.
nagkukumpul-kumpul na like Carson or LA, ganon. Oo.
Yeah, and we get together sometimes, and
Walang gang, walang youth gangs at illegal gangs, wala.
well, hindi natin alam, I mean, there's still, wherever you are, may bad sector of talaga.
Oo, sa bagay, okay. Pero at least wala din nyo na-experience na walang horror stories na tulad nung naririnig yung kinuwento ko kanina. Na gano'n.
Na
Okay, that's great. I'm so thankful. Dami kong nalaman. I'm sure maraming nalaman yung nagsubaybay sa atin kung di pa sila tulog kasi haba ng kwentuhan natin, no? Damo again na salamat sa imo. And pretty soon we will continue this conversation. Maybe in another topic naman, maybe we talk about business opportunities. Pero salamat, Gid. Nagatamyaw kami sa mga Kasimanwa, wherever you are, mga Ilonggo, and even si Greg, I think when you worked in Manila, diverse naman ng friends mo, no? You had Pampango, Ilocano friends, ganun din naman sa akin ever since high school eh. So, hindi na masyadong big deal sa akin yung mga ganyan-ganyan. Nagkataon lang na, Greg is quite unique. He's an Ilonggo living in Utah. That's quite, interesting. And ako naman din, Ilonggo happens to be from Bacolod originally, but I think it's my 40-something year na in Manila, no? Tagal ko na rin dito pala, no? Since 19 kopong-kopong. So, interesting, no? Kung di pa tong pandemic, we wouldn't have this opportunity to get to know all these things about us and about our stories. I hope lang naman, ang laging objective natin in coming up with these kinds of forum is to motivate other people na kung akala ninyo ang hirap ng dinadaanan yung buhay, hello, di ba? Wala kayo sa
yeah.
lolo ko. Wala kayo sa dinaanan ko na nervyos ka ba at lahat na, di ba? During that time, you could get deported anytime. Then parang pagdating mo, wala na. Masasabi mo, sira na buhay ko, di ba? No? Blacklisted ka na. Ang dami kong kilalang ganun na-deport pero syempre dahil sa kalokohan, no? Sabi mo nga, kung illegal alien ka sa Amerika, laylo ka, TNT ka, yung mga kilala ko na-deport, yung alam mo na, medyo wild rin di ba?
Yeah.
And they also run with the wild crowd. So, wala rin silang masisisi. Alam mo yung isang eroplano na inuuwi sa Pilipinas, narinig mo na yun, totoo yun, nakaposas. Di ba?
Deported.
Na-deport sila na nakaposas kasi medyo wild yung buhay nila diyan sa Amerika eh. So, siyempre, high risk, di bali kung high risk investment, eh high risk behavior sila eh. No?
Yeah.
So, wala rin silang mabiblame kung di sarili lang nila. Eventually siguro, no, maybe you have that hope also to at least start a venture. Ay, hindi, meron na pala, may venture ka na sa Amerika, pero maybe start several ventures kasi gano'n naman tayo entrepreneur eh, di ba? We don't stop or, stick to one venture lang eh, di
Yeah.
ba? Yun
Yes.
yung sinasabi ko nga sa even the young, the newbie entrepreneurs na nakakaharap ko. Ang diversification does not mean na magtatanim ka ng saging ngayon tapos mag-diversify ka sa mangga. No, it doesn't mean that or kaya mag-alaga ka ng livestock. No, ang diversification, especially sa digital age natin ngayon, halimbawa, si Greg, meron siyang insurance sector, insurtech or whatever it is. Meron din siguro siyang meron siyang baka may online selling din siyang itatayo, di ba? Yun ang diversification na ibang set naman ng customers ang target mo. Tama ba ako? Do you agree with that? Yun ang diversification. Para kung may economic crisis sa isang banda na magsasuffer itong set of customers, meron ka pang iba naman na tumatakbo pa rin, di ba?
Correct, yeah. And as long as
So,
you enjoy what you do, yun yung importante eh.
yeah.
You enjoy what
Pero ako sa experience ko kasi, Greg, you will enjoy what you do if you understand fully what you are doing. Kasi if it's based on little knowledge lang, di mo siya ma-enjoy eh. No? Kasi
yeah.
laging in the black ka lagi. Anyway, maraming salamat and damo
Thank you.
kita salamat. Hope we can have another session like this, not necessarily here or maybe here also. Medyo nag-diversify naman ako ngayon, nag-divert ako kasi usually ang tema nitong Fafa Zee is about personal relationships, mga na-trauma, pero you had
Well,
your own
natin yun, personal relationships, di ba? So,
sorry, oo, napag-usapan din natin, you had your own story, you had your own, sabi ko nga sa poster, the travails and triumphs, di ba? Hindi rin naman biro ang dinaanan mo, di ba? Pero
yeah.
ang one thing na consistent is gumalaw ka, naghanap ka, hindi ka tumigil, di ba?
You
Nawala
always
ka ng
move
trabaho.
forward, di ba?
Yes.
Kaya ng
Hindi
mga
yung
Mormons na nag-trek from the east to west, di ba?
Yes,
Forward.
exactly. Hindi yung iba nalungkot, na anxiety, magpo-post sa Facebook tapos magdrama, 'di ba? So wala na. Yung oras mong ginawang 'yon, 'di ba? Kung nag-type ka kaya ng resume mo, in-update mo kaya resume mo, 'di ba? O kaya nag-diversify ka sa ibang grupo naman ng employer na na posibleng hanapan, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Yung ganun. Anyway, thank you so much and hello, muhags diyan sa family, no?
You.
Sana kung magising na sila mamaya, mapanood nila tong recording natin.
Yeah.
At sana'y matawa din sila at wag naman malungkot, no? At hindi naman nakakalungkot eh, medyo okay naman yung natin.
If you're in the States, stop by, visit Utah. I think it's
Sige,
nice
sige.
or
Ay, wait!
you
I
like it.
forgot to ask you, you're also a COVID survivor, right?
Yeah, we had COVID in the family in September.
Oh, wow. Where do you think you got it from?
From my wife, from her work.
Okay. Sige. So that's good naman na
Yeah, recovered.
okay naman. Everything's fine na, no? Sige. We'll talk about that sometime soon
Okay.
in another
Thank you.
forum. Yeah. Damo
Yeah.
nga salamat. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Come back again next time. Bye.
Okay.
And that's it, folks. This is another wrap. And we are happy to have learned a lot about buhay in America, specifically life in Utah. Bucket list, no? Hindi tayo familiar na tayo. We can always YouTube and get stories from our relatives about California and all other familiar parts. Eh. Pero Utah is quite interesting, no? Nature daw is everywhere, forest, mountains. Maganda, no? At saka andun si Greg. Mag-host sa atin pag nasa Utah tayo, no? So it's a wrap now. Magandang gabi. Magandang umaga dun sa part ng America na yon sa Utah and good evening also to some other parts of the world sa mga kamag-anak natin dyan sa Europe. Again, goodbye for now from Fafa Zee.